Hey guys, what's going on? This is Swerve for You, and I'm playing Fallout 76. Today we're going to talk about precision looting. Now, if you haven't seen my previous video, we talk about getting your stash weight down to an acceptable size. Most people are maxed out 400 to 400, so we went over some tricks how to get down to a manageable weight. Well, today we're going to talk about how to keep it there. So if we continue our old habits of looting everything in sight, well, we're going to quickly get right back up to 400. So what we're going to look at is actually a neat little trick that they put in the game that helps us loot exactly what we want. Now, the reason I'm making a video about it is because this very useful feature is sort of hidden away in a submenu. It was actually in Fallout 4, so maybe you're familiar with this. If so, great. But if not, this video is for you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at our Pip-Boy, and we're going to go to junk. Now, I've got some random junk that I just grabbed around while I was looting, and you'll notice that we have, of course, several options down here at the bottom. Most of the time we really don't even pay attention to those. It actually changes between screens. So if I go to the notes menu, different things come up. Well, junk has a special menu called component view. So what does that do? Well, if we press C, you'll notice that it shows a list of components, and basically what that is, the junk that's currently in our inventory, it shows us the base scrap items that our junk would scrap into. Well, that's marginally useful. If we mouse over, say, fiberglass, it shows us, what junk items we have that contain fiberglass. That's okay, that's not incredibly useful. But the real gem is tag for search. So what tag for search does, tag for search lets us pick a base component. In this case, we'll say, well, adhesive. Adhesive is pretty valuable. We'll press space, and you'll notice it shows a little magnifying glass next to the component. We'll go down the list. Let's see, copper is pretty valuable. Ceramic, circuitry, I guess, it's pretty good. Some of these are very common. Plastic's pretty common. Screws and springs, definitely. I'm constantly running short on those. So what that does, if we go back to item view, you'll notice that in our list, some of the items have little magnifying glasses next to them, and that means that they contain one of the components that we've highlighted. In this case, springs for clipboards, or springs for flip lighter. Sometimes a component will contain multiple, like the telephone. It contains circuitry and copper. So any container we look in or loot, or any item in the world, will show these little magnifying glasses. And we're going to go looting here in just a second, and I'll show you exactly how that works. But before we do that, I'm going to make some suggestions on what you should pick. Obviously, what you pick is up to you and your play style. You're not going to want to pick common things like steel or wood, because you're going to see that on pretty much on most items in the game. They contain steel or wood. You don't want to pick things that are really common. You want to pick things that you are low on, or things that you're always going to want. So to get started here, first thing we're going to do is we're going to scrap all this stuff, and we're just going to toss it in the stash. Okay, so now we have no junk in our inventory. Now, in order for this to work, you have to have either some piece of junk or just some base component in your actual inventory. So there's no list you can go to. You actually have to have it in your inventory. So like ballistic fiber, if you want to pick that, well, you're actually going to have something that has it, or a piece of it in your inventory. So make sure you've got that. Aluminum, that's pretty valuable. Black titanium. I'm just going to make some suggestions for things you're probably always going to want to pick up, no matter what. Things that are rare. Crystal is pretty rare. Adhesive, of course. Fiber optics are incredibly rare. Let's see what else. Gears, that depends on your playstyle. Screws and springs, most definitely. Nuclear waste, that's pretty rare. Silver, I'll leave that up to you. Ultracite is one of the rarest resources in the game. You're always going to want to grab. I mean, there's not very many things that contain it, but if it does, you're definitely going to want to get it. The rest of this stuff, I'll leave up to you. It really depends, like I say, but these items right here, these are definitely things that you're going to want. So once you get some of the item, in your inventory, some of the items you want, go back to component view. We're just going to press space on each one of these and highlight them. Of course, you'll be making your own list. You can add or remove whatever you want or don't want. And that's it. We get out of the menu, and it will forever remember that. We don't have to do that each time. And now we will store our valuable junk away, and we'll see nothing in our inventory. So now what we're going to do, we're just going to make a quick trip nearby, and we're going to do a little looting. So, you know, the main thing to remember is that, of course, you can still grab whatever you want, but the reason this is important is because things changed between Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. If you're looting according to Fallout 4 rules based on what, you know, junk components had in them, you're going to be surprised. In Fallout 76, you're going to find that, like, wood blocks and tin cans both contain lead. They never contained that in Fallout 4. They just contain wood and steel. Things have changed. So really, rather than make a huge list of all the components, it's easier to just do this. I mean, this is incredibly convenient. So one thing it does, it only works for junk items. I mean, obviously, it's not going to work for things like aid items or, you know, weapons in this case. But if we look at our clipboard, even items that are laying in the world, you'll see clipboard has the little magnifying glass next to it. And if we pick it up, we can see it has a spring in it. So that's why it was highlighted. We'll grab these caps, of course. Any container that we look in, okay, so for example, pack of cigarettes, that doesn't contain anything that we want. Those just contain plastic and cloth. Coffee pot doesn't have anything in it. Scissors contain plastic and steel. Let's see, we'll go in here. Desk fan, yep, of course, desk fans contain screws. So we're going to want those. Cafeteria tray, these are just glass, of course. Let's see if there's anything else in here that actually might be worth our time. Oh, I'll take a pen. Ammo, of course, things like that. You know, any kind of apparel. That's not gonna, you know, that's not gonna show up. But any kind of junk items. Let's see, bottle. That's just glass. Handcuffs. Handcuffs, I believe they contain springs. Pins, just plastic. So you can see, yeah, cigarettes are just cloth. These are 8 items, so they don't count. You can see it actually makes it very easy to just say, you know, there's a lot of items that we passed up in here because it just doesn't really contain anything that we need right now. I believe that's going to about do it, but like I say, it also does work for items that are just laying around, so that's handy. And I mean, that's pretty much all there is to it. You know, if we go to scrap our items, you'll see now, let's see, we only picked up a few things, and I mean, we picked up 3 items. And if we scrap our junk and look back in our inventory, yeah, we got a little bit of steel and a little bit of wood, but for the most part, we got just what we wanted, screws and springs. So hopefully this helps you guys out. If it does, give me a like and a subscribe. Now, one thing you may notice my weight looks a little bit funny, way over encumbered, but having no problems running, and my carry weight's actually in the negative. That's due to the infinite weight glitch. The next video is going to be about that, and you know what you can do with that. So stay tuned, and until next time, peace.